for a little icebreaker. The question is, what is one habit you are currently doing that is contributing to your well-being in a positive way? So one thing that's established that you're doing that you feel like is really, really good for you. Brushing your teeth can't be one of them. I hope everyone's doing that. So.
What are you doing? What is your new
Mine,
habit you've created?
consistent exercise. Let's just say consistent exercise. Yeah.
Nice.
Daily exercise. Yeah.
Mine is getting to bed at a decent hour.
That's good.
Turning the phone off, turning off the TV, and then just going to bed. Yes.
That's like a really good one.
Well, since the daylight savings, I teach yoga in the morning, which means now I have to get up it's going to be 3:30 in the morning, according to my body, for a couple of weeks. So I started last week just getting into bed at 8:30.
Oh, nice. So you're ahead of the schedule. Like you're ahead of that. Yeah. Yeah.
I thought I would be a little bit ahead of the schedule so that when tomorrow arrives, I'm not in shock, but we'll see. I'll let you know.
Yeah. Okay. Keep me updated on that. Well, then we have water is a big one right now in our chat. We got to drink 1 glass of water before coffee, 2 18-ounce bottles of water a day for Kyle.
Nice.
Daily stretching like that.
Mm-hmm. Oh, Carolyn, drink 1 glass of water before coffee.
Before, yeah. Get hydrated.
That's such a great idea. Good sleep schedule. Sorry, parents to young kids. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm living that right now.
Are you?
So, yeah. Here and there, I guess. So anyway, yeah, I guess we can get started here. I don't see any other new habits being walks after lunch and dinner when possible. Great one,
So
Kate.
good.
Like that.
Great.
Yeah. Get moving. So, yes, the topic today is motivation. And though motivation is important, it can be deemed overrated, right? And so we want to try and establish habits and maybe discipline that helps us stay consistent with our whatever well-being goals that we might have. So, Jill, why is motivation overrated? Why is it overrated?
Well, motivation is an emotion. To be motivated, and emotions can come and they can go. And sometimes I might feel more motivated due to something I maybe have seen or something I have felt. And then whenever what I've seen or felt begins to dissipate, I'm not as motivated anymore. And it's really interesting just listening to what people have been offering. The studies show that in order to stay motivated or to create a habit, it's more about identity. It's how you see yourself. And so if I see myself as, well, I'm a healthy person or I live a healthy lifestyle, then it's more likely that I'm going to create a habit that is in relationship to how I see myself. I thought that was fascinating, and it's something that I hadn't really thought about. Oftentimes I look for external motivation, but turning that mirror around and saying, well, how do I see myself? And I do see myself as like a healthy person or continue to move towards health. I know you as well, Isaac. You see yourself as I'm a fit person. Fitness is important to me, correct?
Correct. Yeah. Yes, absolutely. And I love how it's described, like what you just were saying, how motivation is just this, it's emotional, right? It's temporary. It goes up and down and up and down and up and down. And I actually just listened to something not the other day, like this morning. And I was like, this is great timing because I'm going to be talking about this already or today before. And it was saying how motivation, this is from Dr. Mike is Redel, and he was saying how motivation really gets clumped into these six categories of what actually adherence is. So like your adherence to being able to stick to whatever goal or whatever is motivating you to be healthy or improve your well-being. And you even said it at the very beginning too, Jill, is that inspiration. So you might like watch a movie, you might read a quote or a book or whatever, and you're just like so inspired to like maybe make a change, right? But he was saying how that inspiration goes up really high. It might be that initial like hearing something or like that might be that initial like, oh, I want to do this, you know. But then within a few hours or the next day, it's back down. And so it's like there's the inspiration, then there's motivation, which is up and down. Can be vary from I didn't get great sleep last night. I'm less motivated. I'm stressed out. I'm less motivated to do whatever habit I was going to do. And then, like you said too, Jill, is that identity. So after that motivation, you kind of break through and you're like, okay, well, what is my real intention? Like, what am I trying to intend to do? And that might be as something like you said, like I see myself as a healthy person, or I see myself as a fit person. And those,
Absolutely.
yeah,
Yeah.
and
Yeah. And I love that. It's something that's so new to me to kind of wrap my mind around that. Like it's internal. It's how I see myself. And
mhm,
also how I set up my environment. Like I look
yes,
around my environment and how do I set my environment up to able to create a good habit, or do I set my
mhm,
environment up and it's just working against me and it lacks motivation? And like I know I set up my environment by I have a water bottle right here. It's like it's looking at me. So where I might not have internal motivation, that's a habit. Now I've
right,
created a habit just by putting it there. Um, or having my gym bag right next to me, like having some of these external things that
mhm,
are going to bypass that emotional motivation and allow me to create a new habit.
absolutely. Yeah, the book, The Power of Habit, um, talks about that kind of more on like a will, like your willpower. And Kyle and I have actually talked about this back in the archives of when we went to our Essentials of Wellness program. And basically, it's you are limited. You have willpower is like an actual thing. Like you wake up, you have willpower, and but it goes down over the day, right?
Mm,
So the less decisions you can make, the less I guess this University of Chicago said it best is the people who are the most have the best self-control are the ones that use willpower less often. So just
mm,
like that, setting up their environment so they don't have to fend off every urge, these constant urges. They set it up to like help minimize their temptations or minimize the like the water bottles right at our desk, right? Like you
yeah.
just said. So it's taking away some of those barriers, those roadblocks. There it is, Kyle. There it is. Perfect.
and
Uh,
and then yeah, and then consistency, like being consistent,
yes.
like
Yeah.
like
Hmm.
but again, it's not motivation, it's creating external habits from a
Hmm.
place of identity, and then once the identity is been complemented with this habit, this new habit, then the habit has more of a chance to being consistent.
Hmm.
And it's something I have been thinking about since we talked about this motivation versus habit making, and something that you offered, which I really have been implementing, is habit stacking. And you
Right.
talked about,
Yeah.
wow, if I'm like, well, I'm already here at the wellness center, so I'm here. Now, what can I do with my time?
Hmm.
Right?
Yes. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. It's like you're a huge tip from, and this is another book, The Power of Less, is to combine habits with other habits. So, like that class, like the example that I used to give in the past, back when I drank coffee more often, was, I wanted to practice meditation, right? And so I used to drink French press coffee every morning. Like it was just part of my, like, didn't think about it at all, right? I was like, oh, I need to have my coffee so I can, be woke to be healthier. It's like, no, I didn't even think about it, right? It's like we were just saying, it's just like an established habit. But I wanted to also get more into kind of like meditation. And so every morning I would get you put the beans in, and before you got to press it down, you have to do, it's like a 5 to 10 minute, let the beans just kind of soak before you do the press. And so I would just do a 3 to 5 minute meditation every morning. Uh, and it was pretty easy to establish because that other habit was already part of my routine. So
That is such
yeah,
a great example. I
yeah.
know I was drinking smoothies, and I'm like, well, I want to add more protein to my diet. I'm already drinking the smoothie, so then I add protein. And
Mhm.
the studies, the empirical um, studies say that that type of habit stacking is much more uh, conducive to longevity. That's going to stick. And
Yeah.
I think that's such a great point to make versus my daughter. She wants to add protein. So she said, well, now I need to get a Ninja. And now I have to go to and she had all these different obstacles. And
Mhm.
I could tell that it wasn't going to happen. She had created so many more obstacles for herself. And then she kind of figured out how to get a blender. It's already in her house. And then she did have to get the protein powder, but it kind of noticed the psychological um, journey of creating a habit or habit stacking. I
Mhm.
really appreciate that one. And one thing you also talked about is not taking on too much.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's another big one too from that book is just start with one at a time. Like if you're trying to establish, like we were saying, like be a healthier person, you know, I like the motivation to be like, okay, well, I'm going to go to the gym for an hour a week. I'm going to start eating this many amount of calories or, this much fiber every day. And you have this long list of things that you're going to do. I would, you know, I would recommend, and what a lot of from what experts have said is just start with one. So if you're
Mhm.
trying to, like, for instance, you said, just add more protein to your diet, have that be the focus for like the first however many months it might take for that to be just like an established system that you're doing. Um, and then, starting with small, start if it's something that requires, maybe isn't so much like something that you're consuming, but something like, meditation or exercise or whatever, something that it gets you to do something. Start with 5 minutes of whatever that thing may be. I forgot who it was. It was a coworker many years ago where, in order for him to um, get his daily stretches in, he just did, I think he did deep body weight squats for 2 minutes while he was brushing his teeth.
Oh yeah, I
Right.
like that.
So
Yeah.
like and you wouldn't think it would do much. Like he said, it was, you know, day, night and day difference in a month of doing that, of like how much better his hips felt, how like greater his range of motion was, how flexible he was. So starting small and then working your way up does initiate that discipline, right? It establishes that habit, and then I think it creates passion after that. Like you want to do this because you feel good. And you're saying that when we talked about like your walking schedule you're up to right now, right? Like that is like something that's, you like to do it because you realize after all the, well, you can explain it, I guess, of how,
Well,
yeah.
Kyle introduced the 75-75 last year,
Yes.
and it was
Yeah.
changing something physical, and then maybe nutritional. And I remember, okay, well, I'm going to start to walk, and I picked
Mhm.
that as my goal. And then after I started to do it, it was not long before I was like, this feels great. And now I walk probably like 4 to 5 times a week. Now
Mhm.
that is like a different entry point to create a habit. That's more of an external, creating a challenge, which I think is amazing. There's also like spring challenges or summer challenges. So those can be motivational. So you
Mhm.
you start off and maybe you're like, I'm so excited, I want to do it. And then the habit is created from, like you said, that feedback of, well, this actually feels good. I
Mhm.
know with the wellness center, some people will come in and I'll say, start with walking on the treadmill, 20 minutes, like 3 times a week. And they're like, that's all? But
Mhm.
I know that just from experience that when people sometimes take on too much, then they go to that emotional place of overwhelm and then the habit's not going to stick. So small steps, small
Yeah.
steps. And we are at time. There's a lot of
Yeah.
amazing comments, but to summarize what we've talked about to create healthy habits is first identify yourself as whatever the habit you want to create. I'm a healthy
Mhm.
person, or I am an inspired person. And then with that, you can complement how you feel about yourself by taking action, stacking
Mhm.
habits, small steps, and in noticing that internal motivation that will come from um, feeling successful about what you do.
Yeah. Yeah. And I would like echo that and then also add, what is the one, what are the two things in order to like try and establish whatever habit you're trying to do is it takes planning. It does like take that step, right? To say, okay, I'm going to do this then, or I'm going to do this while I'm doing this. So it takes planning and it takes like constant reflection on like, does this work in my life right now? Stay objective and just be honest with yourself because once again, if we're going just by the motivational swings, like how you feel about what you're going to do may not stick, right?
Yeah.
Whereas if you just stay objective and reflective and really, you know, see how you are right now, and see how your schedule is, that's going to stick longer than um, some of those emotional swings. So
Well, we had a lot of comments about habit stacking. Yeah. Amy says, I started doing a 30-day yoga off YouTube. I just did it because I wanted to complete it. Even if it was 10:30 at night, the challenge for me is it was a 25 to 35-minute session. Well, that's kind of challenging to plan for. So now she says I've switched to 10-minute yoga on YouTube in the morning after I get my kids up and ready for school. It's a little change, but approachable for me. Day 70 of doing yoga movements today. So 70
yeah.
days. So right. So like
Mhm.
10 minutes is amazing. Just getting up, stretching your body, and then that creates a healthy habit.
Yep.
Chris says, I started to use the leg press for the first time in 20 years for Achilles rehab. I started 1 hour a week instead of trying to go 3 times a week because I knew I wouldn't be able to commit to that. Now, after 2 months, it's starting to become a habit. Oh, great.
Yeah, it was great
Yeah.
comments here. I like hearing everyone's
Yeah.
little stories. And
Yeah.
yeah, it doesn't take much every day to get progress pretty quickly. I mean,
Mhm.
you think it's not going to contribute, but that 10 to 15 minutes a day is so powerful when you do that. So, yeah.
Yeah. It's just, uh, yeah. Really good. Great job, everybody. I'm just looking through these comments about people habit stacking or creating habits and not taking on big behavioral changes, but really understanding, like Kyle says, small habits can create big changes over time and much more manageable.
Very good. Well,
Yeah,
thanks for coming, everyone. We're
yeah.
over time here, but it's good. So,
We
yeah,
hope
thank
we
you.
inspired you
Yeah.
to do some habit stacking and create an environment for success for yourself.
Yes. Definitely. Well, thank you, everyone. Thank you, Jill, for your
Yeah, thank
insight too.
you.
Yeah.
Thank you.